To fam, it's your boy Ghost, back with another, I guess, project, you want to call it. I'm about to change the wheel hub bearing on my '08 Chevy Tahoe. Reason I know it's the wheel hub bearing is because about 2 weeks ago we were up in Northern Virginia and my truck started making this crazy noise, sound like the tires was beating against the pavement. But I don't have off-road tires, as you would call them, but it sounded like big mud tires going down the road, and I couldn't understand what the noise was. But it went away, and then the following weekend, coming back from Northern Virginia again, started making this crazy grinding noise. Didn't know where the grinding noise was coming from. The brakes look good, the rotors look good. Can't really see the rotors right now, but no grinding from the brakes. The brake pads was fine. So got it home. My cousin came over, helped me try to diagnose what was going on. Found out that my front differential was low on fluid. So we pumped that back up with fluid, and he decided, he was like, let's jack up the truck on the left side, because I thought it was coming from the right. I mean from the left side, but from the driver's side, but I had already changed the wheel hub bearing on that side once before, so I knew it couldn't be that one. So this time we decided to jack up the right side of the truck and check the passenger side, and this is what we found. You shouldn't be able to do that with your tire. Like that either. So the tire is loose as a tooth. So I picked up the wheel hub bearing from O'Reilly's, and it was a pretty penny. It's about for $169. I thought it was going to be cheaper than that, but it was $169 for this side. And it comes with the ABS control wire and everything on it. And this is what it looks like. It's a pretty heavy piece. No core charge on it or anything like that, but it's only really 3 bolts that you have to take out. There's a bolt here, there, and there for it. And it's actually attached to the truck. But you have to take loose that spindle nut that's in the middle of there. The nut itself was $8. A lot of people feel they can reuse the nut, but I wouldn't recommend reusing it. But I'm gonna jump to it and get the wheel off and get started and the tire off. And the next step, before you take off the tire, I should give a fair warning. If you don't have an impact gun or something like that, you might want to do something, leave the car on the ground with the tire on it, so that you can break this spindle nut loose. I actually found a way to get my compressor to go a little higher. I upgraded my hose on my compressor for my impact gun. I didn't have to leave the tire on, but that nut, it takes forever to come off because it's connected to the spindle back here, and it goes through. The nuts to take the hub assembly are loose. It's this nut here. It's another one here. And let's see if I can get it in there. This one here. No, this one. I'm gonna put some bolt buster on it and kind of unlube everything. But what you want to do is also take loose your brake calipers and stuff like that and find a way to hang them. I usually just take a motorcycle strap and just hang my caliper and my bracket at the same time. It's easier to just take the whole assembly loose, and then once it's time to reinstall it, it's just 2 bolts to put in. And as you see, the bolts for that are here, and there's another one at the bottom down here. Well, let me see if I can get my finger down there. Down here, and those take the whole caliper and brake assembly off, and then that'll expose your rotor, and you can take your rotor off. You also gonna have to get, I think it's a T27, a torque screw, to take that out. Sometimes that thing is a pain. If you can't get it out, it's gonna end up stripping. You gotta basically drill it out. I have a screw tap out set that Mike can get it out, but I'm gonna go ahead and soak everything down and let it sit for a second, and then I'll come back. Alright, back. I done sprayed everything down. I actually used two brands of penetrating oil. I got some PB Blast penetrating oil and some liquid wrench. I actually sprayed it down with both of them and let it sit. This is the most time-consuming thing right here because if it breaks, you're kind of out back. So, like I said, just go ahead and spray it and see, and give it some time. If you feel like it's stripping it, I wouldn't use it, but I sprayed back here. You're gonna also want to spray some on the axle itself, the boot, to kind of let it sit in there, because sometimes trying to get that get that hub assembly off of that spindle, it's very, very hard, and it's a painful task. I've seen people try it so many different ways. Sorry about the rush. This is Chevy's finest. So sprayed everything down with the penetrating oil, even the caliper nuts right here, and that one that's up under here that we're gonna have to take a loose. And then to get that one loose, you're probably gonna have to turn your wheel. So I basically jacked up the truck in the front, put it on jack stands, and as a precautionary measure, I left the jack under there with this stand to kind of keep some tension on it. But we can go ahead and let this stuff sit. I'm gonna go try to catch the Dallas Cowboys and Eagles game. All right, I'm back with another update. I finally got the rotor off. I did have to drill out my screw, and as you can see, this is the end results. Basically, you just drill the head off of the screw, and I just stepped my bits up from the smallest to the largest. I tried my screw extractives kit, and there's so much rust on it, it's hard to get that out. That don't really work. So about the only thing you can do is just drill the head off, and that's part of the head right there. The remnants to it, and I guess you can kind of see it. But I put a board down because all of the spray that I put on there, it kind of would get on the floor, and I don't want to clean up all that type of mess. So I just put a board down. I could have put some plastic down, but this is where we at. I got the brake caliper off. I just took it off with the whole bracket and the brake caliper itself, so everything is just hung. I just took a motorcycle strap and just strapped it up to the top of the shock. I hate how much rust is up under here, but I had another issue with my truck before. I took it to the Chevy dealership, and they had the same issue. And I said, well, it's what y'all, the parts y'all use. So if anybody from Chevy listening, man, learn how to use some better parts. It'll work better for us all. All right, so now you can kind of get exposed the screws that we need to take off to take the hub assembly off. This one, and this one. Those three bolts will come out, and the hub assembly should just come right on off. We also got to take this line off. This is the ABS line, and it comes all the way back up top and basically connect up here. I'll get all of that off. I might go ahead and take this nut off first, and just to have that part of it off early. And I'll come back with another update. Alright, back with another update. I finally got the 3 bolts out the back of the hub assembly, disconnecting it from the truck. I got to loose the bolt here, one over here, and the one here. Well, where is it? Right here. There you go. That one. So basically, to get the top one off and the one that's towards the back of the truck, I had to turn the wheel to the left. And to get the front one off on this side, I had to turn the wheel to the right, and it gave me a little bit more access. I strapped my caliper up with the motorcycle strap, but that kind of had gotten in the way, so I had to maneuver it and sit it up here and hold on to it while I use my impact gun to pull it off. But that impact gun makes wonders. I couldn't get enough leverage on it with the wheel well intact to use my regular ratchet, so I had to work around it. But if you don't have it, it's possible, but you just gotta flood it with your nut blaster and just go at it. Sometimes you can take a hammer and smack it on the ratchet to kind of make it like a hammer ratchet almost. I don't think that's a real term, but that's what I call it. But yeah, it's almost time for me. I'm gonna disconnect this line now, take all of the ABS line on loose, and then I'm gonna be ready to pull that hub assembly off. I already took the nut off of the spindle, so that's what my spindle looked like. that nut. The nut actually came with a washer, so make sure you put that washer back on. The new nut won't have that washer with it. That's the washer that came off the truck from the factory. So basically that goes on before you put the nut on, and then you tighten it down. Yeah, so I'll be back with another update once I get this hub assembly off. I'm back with another update. I just took this plug loose, and the way that you have to take this plug loose is when it's in there, that little gap right there at the top, you need to take like a little flathead, the smallest flathead that you have, and lift up. There's a little latch on there on the inside of here. I don't know if you can see it, that you have to basically pry up and pull that plug out. I actually use my little pick that I have to actually stick in there and just basically twist it and it pop right on out. So that's the way that you get that plug out. Sometimes when you're watching the videos, a lot of people don't explain those little things. They just say pull them apart, but I'll explain it so that everybody will know. Once again, that's that plug at the top up there near your brake line. Alright? And then this plug that was on the side, basically you just pop that out. If you got a panel puller or something like that, I just use a large flathead. Back with another update. Finally got the hub assembly off, and it took some little elbow grease to get that sucker off. Took two grown men banging on it with a sledgehammer, literally a sledgehammer, and finally we whacked the sucker off. But this is what it looks like. This is the old one. That was it. So that one is off. I'm gonna put the new one on and go with it. But it takes a little bit. This plate right here actually just comes off. I'm gonna add a little bit of axle grease just right here, just to put it back on. But it had actually rusted up in here. Actually took some sandpaper, sanded that out, cleaned that a little bit with a rag. Can't get all the rust out, but my axle, this spines or whatever you call it, aren't damaged, so I should be good with that part. We're gonna put the pieces back together and put the truck back together. So here with the final product. Got it back all together. Got the rotor. Sorry, I put the tire back on there. I shouldn't have put the tire back on there, but it's done now. But this nut, I tightened it up, and what you want to do is tighten it all the way down. It's kind of hard. I mean, like I said, I got an impact gun, but without an impact gun, it would have been a pain. If you got a leverage bar, you can use that. But what you want to do is tighten it down till you can't go no more, and then back off of it maybe a half a turn, maybe a whole turn if you want to. I just did a half a turn to back off of it. You never want it super eyeball popping tight. So that's the main part of that. The hub assembly went back on pretty cool once I got the thing to break loose. Put the ABS sensor back on. This is what the new one is, and pretty much the hub assembly come with everything that's needed to hook back up. So once you do that, I mean, of course, if you take your brakes off, you want to pump your brakes before you go try to drive down the street. Put everything back together. Make sure you get your lug nuts on tight. As far as torque specifications, I don't have any specific torque specifications, but I'm sure you can look it up on Google or go to a manual somewhere, and it'll tell you all your torque specifications. I just basically tighten it until I know it's tight, and honestly, it shouldn't come off. But I don't know if you can see it, but I got just a little wiggle. You can hear it where the axle can come in and out just a little bit, like that. It's not too tight, because if you over tighten it, it'll end up turning your wheel bearings, hub assembly up again. Then you're back at square one. So leave any comments, questions. I'm just showing this because nobody else on YouTube got videos pretty much explaining anything on the 08 Chevy Tahoe. So I try to make videos for what I can. But like I said, any questions, give me a holler. All right, peace.